Today I'm going to break down 3 winners and 3 losers from the 2025 NFL playoffs. I'm going to start with the 3 winners first. Coming in at number 1, I do have Rhamondre Stevenson as a winner from the NFL playoffs. Stevenson was basically on the verge of losing his job to TreVeyon Henderson at multiple points during the season in 2025. And the playoffs have completely revived Stevenson's value in fantasy and in real life. In the playoffs, he's been on the right side of the touching split, and he also dominated touches in the championship game 25-3 for TreVeyon Henderson. I believe the Patriots have Rhamondre Stevenson for one more year under contract after this season, and I do expect him to be heavily involved in their offense going forward. Now, it might be closer to a 50-50 split next season with Stevenson and Henderson, but I don't see Rhamondre Stevenson going away in this Patriots offense. And that could be frustrating for fantasy in 2026, but I do think he will make an impact at certain points. And going from potentially losing his job completely to having actual value next season might be great for Rhamondre Stevenson. And that is why I do have him as a winner from the 2025 NFL playoffs. At number 2, I do have Kenneth Walker, who has gone absolutely crazy in the playoffs and pretty much led Seattle's offense to the Super Bowl. He's got 4 total touchdowns in just their 2 playoff appearances. And after Charbonnet went down with the ACL injury, he really stepped up and has looked really good in Seattle's offense. Now, this sets up nice because he will be a free agent in 2026 after the Super Bowl in 2 weeks from now. If he re-signs with Seattle, he should be their number 1 running back. With Charbonnet coming back at some point next season, I'm not sure if he'll be ready to start the season next year. But if he does go somewhere else in free agency, he will be a surefire number 1 running back in that offense. So I will be looking for him to go to free agency, kind of see how much money he can get in free agency. If he gets a solid offer from Seattle, he might want to return there. But if it were me, I would go to free agency and see who's going to pay me the most after basically leading my team to the Super Bowl. And coming in at number 3, I do have Trevor Lawrence. Even despite losing in the first round of the playoffs to the Bills, he did look really good in that wild card game. He threw 3 touchdowns and really had a bounce back 2025 season compared to his 2024 sophomore campaign. Making the playoffs in general was a huge win for Trevor Lawrence. He hadn't been to the playoffs and really had a young offense with a struggling Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter going down with an injury. So he really put them on his back to even make the playoffs, and then playing pretty well against a good Bills team. Overall, in 2025, Lawrence was 5th in passing touchdowns and 6th in passing yards. And I would consider his stock really high going into 2026 for fantasy. And obviously in real life, he's not going anywhere in Jacksonville. But for fantasy, I would consider him to be a top quarterback going into the season. So the 3 winners I have from the NFL playoffs: Rhamondre Stevenson, Kenneth Walker, and Trevor Lawrence. Now, going over to the 3 losers I do have from the 2025 NFL playoffs, I'm going to start with Zach Charbonnet. This is not at all because of his play on the field. It's solely because of his injury he sustained in one of their playoff wins. He did tear his ACL completely. I'm not sure when he'll be back in 2026 for next season. So his fantasy value should definitely be impacted, at least for redraft leagues. And then obviously in real life, he was bordering on being their number 1 back. He was definitely in a 50-50 split in Seattle. And Kenneth Walker really had taken that role after his injury in the playoffs. So I kind of am seeing Kenneth Walker on the up, Zach Charbonnet on the down. Now, he is still going to be with Seattle, and Walker is a free agent, so if they do decide to go elsewhere in free agency, if Walker does, it could lead to an opening for Charbonnet once he is back from the ACL, but who even knows what's going to happen coming back from that ACL injury. It kind of affects everybody different, and he is a running back. So at the end of the day, it could hurt him a lot as far as in real life with Seattle and obviously in fantasy in 2026. The second guy I have on the losers list for the NFL playoffs is CJ Stroud, and he really ended the season on a terrible note. They did sneak by in their first playoff game, but then he ended up throwing 4 interceptions against the Patriots in the divisional round, and the defense really carried Houston throughout the playoffs in general, and Stroud did not look too good. I honestly wouldn't even be shocked if they looked to go elsewhere possibly in the near future. If Stroud really can't figure it out, they're going to need to find a quarterback who can get it done in Houston. And to have a defense as good as the Texans and then not have an offense that can score any points is really, it has to be deflating for guys on that team, especially on the defensive side. I know in their second playoff game, Stroud did not have Nico Collins, and then also Dalton Schultz got injured, I believe, in that game, but he still did not look too good for, being in the divisional round of the playoffs. And I don't see DeMeco Ryans going anywhere in Houston. He has built a great team with a great defense. They really just need to figure out their offense and how to score points for their defense. Their first playoff game, I'm pretty sure their defense scored more points than their offense. So that kind of tells you where Stroud is at with the Texans. And that is why he's on this list as one of the losers from the 2025 playoffs. And the last player I have on this list coming in at number 3 is A.J. Brown for the Eagles. Now, they did only play one game. They lost in the wild card round of the playoffs, and he only caught 3 receptions for 25 yards in that game. I believe he was targeted 7 times and had multiple drops in that playoff game. He was kind of disgruntled all season, and there was definitely times where in the news, he was asking for a trade, or, Philly was suggesting they might move on from him. It didn't happen last season. It might happen in the offseason. I'm not exactly sure if that will or not. I do believe he's under contract for a few more years in Philadelphia, but if he's kind of wanting out and Philly sees a good opportunity, I can see them possibly moving on for the right price. And the reason I'm saying he's a loser from the playoffs is because he really should be a number 1 receiver, and he's just not. He has just not been that for the 2025 season. And the playoffs really showed that, he was not playing like a number 1 receiver. And the move, if he does get traded, could be a positive, could be a negative. Time will really only tell on that. But overall, I think he's trending in the wrong direction as far as his fantasy value and also real life value for the Philadelphia Eagles. So with that being said, those are my 3 losers from the playoffs: Zach Charbonnet, CJ Stroud, and AJ Brown. And thanks for tuning in. If you did like the video, please hit the like button, subscribe for more, and I'll be back shortly with some more NFL content.